Soon after sunrise, when the dense fog still enveloped the surroundings, 5 friends, Emily, Dan, Michael, Sarah, and Tom, decided to spend the weekend in an old abandoned mansion which stood far away from civilization. Adventurous souls, they hoped for unusual finds and thrilling stories, but none of them foresaw the dark secret hidden within the walls of this house. Approaching the mansion, they noticed its facade was decrepit, and the windows were clouded with the dust and grime of time. Emily, an enthusiast of history and architecture, couldn't resist the urge to explore this abandoned relic of the past. "Maybe we'll find something amazing inside," she said with a smile, trying to dispel her friend's mistrust. They entered the house, and the air was filled with the scent of old furniture and dusty carpets. The walls seemed permeated with a dark energy, and the friends felt that a mystery lurked within this house. Soon they discovered a room where dusty mirrors stood on an old, cracked mantel. The mirrors were antique, covered in a dark film, but their shape and ornate decor indicated they were crafted for the refined taste of long-gone times. "Look at this," exclaimed Tom, approaching one of the mirrors. "They don't seem to reflect us at all." The friends approached the mirrors with interest and cautiously examined their reflections. But what they saw behind their shoulders made them shiver with horror. The reflections in the mirrors didn't mimic their movements. Instead, they slowly and repetitively mirrored the actions of the friends, like echoes from another world. At first, it seemed like an incredible historical oddity, but as they continued to observe, they realized something was amiss. Michael was the first to notice. "My reflection. It's not doing what I'm doing," he whispered, his voice trembling with an inexplicable fear. Sarah looked wary. "Is this normal, though?" she asked, but her own reflection continued its path, ignoring her question. As if subservient to some sinister rhythm, the reflections began to move more unnaturally and menacingly. Emily recoiled as she saw her reflection quietly laughing, though she felt no joy herself. "There's something wrong here," she said, but her voice drowned in the silence of her friends. Watching the mirrors, they saw their reflections start to behave more aggressively and menacingly. Dan froze as he saw his reflection suddenly give him a piercing look, emitting an invisible but incredibly real threat. "We need to get out of here," he whispered, but his words sounded like faint whispers in the overwhelming silence. As they turned to leave the room, they realized the door had vanished. They were trapped with these distorted mirrors and their menacing reflections. Sarah tried to touch one of the mirrors, hoping it was all just a strange dream, but her hand passed through the glass as if it were thin air. "We're trapped here," she whispered, her voice sounding like the last whisper in a dying tunnel. In this dark room, surrounded by ominous mirrors and their reflections, the friends realized they had become part of something terrible and inexplicable. They watched as their reflections emerged from the mirrors and became real, taking their form but not their essence. Tom screamed in horror as he saw his reflection, laughing sadistically, raise a hand and point at him, then sharply turn its head toward the others. "They want to replace us," he whispered, his voice echoing from collapsing walls. With no way out and no hope, the friends remained in this grim chamber among the reflections that openly wished to replace them. Fear and despair reflected in their eyes, while in the eyes of their reflections, there was only a dark thirst. No one knew how long they would endure, but each of them understood they had become part of something beyond their comprehension and control. Among the eerie mirrors and their distorted reflections, the friends remained forgotten, buried in the darkness of this old mansion, which had become their ominous tomb.